Hello everybody, my name is Paige and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my December and January reading wrap up together. So I'm really excited to do this. I haven't done a reading wrap up in a while, so I decided to just loop everything together, kind of just see what I've been doing over the past couple months. I kind of like this idea a little bit better than doing it every month just because I don't always have the time to film every month. But I definitely like this idea. So I read 10 books in December, 8 books in January. So we're going to go through the ones that I liked, the ones that I maybe didn't like as much, and just kind of talk about them. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first book I read in December was The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden. I'm not going to get into this one too much because I don't want to spoil the first one, but it was amazing. I love this series. I gave it a 5-star. I have the third book and I'm really hoping to read that one soon. I'm loving this series. I love her writing, and all of her books I can read in like the matter of a couple of days, and I love that aspect of them. They're super fast, they're super fun, and they're just really addicting. And there's always a twist that I never see coming. I have not guessed one of her twists right yet. So that's really interesting. So I usually guess twists most of the time. So that's a little bit about that one. So I'm not going to get into the plot too much because I don't want to spoil the first one if you haven't read it yet, but 5 stars for that one. The next book I read was The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year, and this one I had gotten an ARC from NetGalley for, and I decided to finally pick it up in December because it felt like the perfect time to read it, and I loved it. It's like this mystery thriller aspect mixed with romance, and they balance each other out great. Like, it's not like romance is overpowering or that the mystery is overpowering. They balance each other out amazing, and I really love it. Basically, our two main characters, they're kind of like workplace enemies, and they get invited by this author to come spend a vacation with her, and they get snowed in, and then this author goes missing, so they have to kind of find where she went, and it's just this whole mystery that they're trying to solve together. And we know, there's forced proximity, and it was just amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. And yeah, I just loved it so much. So that is our second book in December. Our third book was Witching You a Charmed Christmas. I ended up giving this, 4 stars. It was really cute. It was a little novella, just really short, and it was just cute. It was a witch. She was going to a town to try and save this dying business, and there ends up being a romance, and it was just amazing. I really, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it around the holiday times. It was just really, really cute, and just a short, quick read in between some longer reads. The fourth book was Sugar and Snow. So this was a Nutcracker retelling, kind of enemies to lovers, and I gave it 4 stars. It was a relatively quick read, and it was just cute for the season, and it ended up being really cute. I really enjoyed it. It was a quick read, so that was nice, and it was just perfect for the holiday season. There's not much more I can say about it, but yeah, just a cute, quick read. The next book I read was Hooked by Emily McIntyre. I love this. I cannot wait to continue the series. I gave it 5 stars. It was my first ever dark romance, so that was definitely an experience, and I actually really enjoyed it. It is a Peter Pan retelling. I use retelling very loosely because it's not like, doesn't follow the story obviously, but we have Captain Hook. They just call him Hook, and he's hunting down Peter. He's his arch nemesis, and then Wendy, Peter's daughter, walks into his bar, and he decides to just kind of use her as a pawn. But then, there's real feelings developed, and it's just a whole thing. There's some crazy things that happen in this, and it was just really good. I definitely recommend it, and I have to go buy the next book so I can continue the series. I know a new one just came out as well. So I'm really excited to continue the series, and I really enjoyed it. The sixth book I read was A Wish on Willow Way. I will scream from the rooftops how much I love this series. I will continue to say it, and I will continue to say it. Everybody needs to read it because it's amazing, and the author is amazing. But in this one, there's an arranged marriage. He's her bodyguard. There's forced proximity. It takes place around the holiday times in the winter. It's just amazing. Highly recommend. I just loved it so much. And yeah, I will continue to say I recommend this. Obviously 5 stars, and I can't wait for the third one. The next book I read was Emergency Contact. I gave it 3.75 stars because it kind of dragged a little bit for me, but it's a holiday romance. She ends up having, getting hit in the head, and she has a concussion, and she needs to be monitored, and her emergency contact is her ex-husband. So, it's a little bit messy in that aspect. He is flying home to propose to his new girlfriend. So, yeah, she ends up going home with him. So the entire journey is them trying to get home so he can propose to his new girlfriend. But it's a romance. So, obviously we know that proposal doesn't happen, but it was amazing. Highly recommend. It was just good overall. It dragged a little bit for me, but that's the only complaint I have about it. Definitely a just fun, cute holiday romance. The next book I read was One Day in December. I ended up giving this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Basically, they see each other on a bus and like their eyes meet. It's love at first sight. She spends years looking for this guy, and then all of a sudden he shows up as her friend's new boyfriend. So, yeah. And then it's just basically right person, wrong time, and they just keep trying to connect, and things keep being in the way. And it's just a really good romance. I cried a lot. You'll cry when you read it. It's just really good overall. Highly recommend, especially to read in December. I felt like it was a perfect book to read in December, but I ended up annotating a lot in here with a pen. I really liked it. Highly recommend. Yeah. The next book I read was Christmas Cheer. I ended up giving this 3 stars. There is a thing about birth control tampering, and I really don't vibe with that. The romance at the end ended up being cute, but the whole birth control tampering thing I did not enjoy. I just don't like that. So that's why it's 3 stars. But I mean, it's a good holiday romance if you'd like to read it and you don't mind that stuff. Maybe you'd enjoy it. The last book I read was Bluebird Day. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It's this whole thing with this mother and daughter, and they have a really strained relationship, and then they get snowed in a place, and they're trying to get to this competition, and it's just a whole thing of this mother and daughter reestablishing their relationship and learning how to communicate again, and just, it's really beautiful. The writing is beautiful. I loved it, and I definitely recommend this one, especially, like, for me, it was hard because I had a strained relationship with my mom for a little bit. So reading it made me cry a lot, but now my relationship with my mother is great. And so, yeah, it definitely was a really good book, and I highly recommend it. All right, we are on to January, and the first book I read was Listen for the Lie. I listened to this as an audiobook. I highly recommend doing that experience with the whole podcast situation. 5 stars. I loved this. It kind of goes back in time and shows us things that happened in the past. We have our podcast, we have the present day. It's just amazing. Basically, our main character has amnesia from the night that her best friend was killed, and everybody thinks she did it, but she can't remember anything that happened. So then we have somebody that's doing a podcast, and he starts interviewing her, and she starts slowly remembering what happened that night. And it is just, this was a crazy twist. Like, the twists in this were insane. There were a couple of them, and I did not see any of them coming. I could not have guessed anything that happened in this. It was amazing. Definitely recommend listening to it as an audiobook. I feel like the experience was really cool with the whole podcast situation. So yeah. The next book I decided to pick up was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Obviously, I give it 5 stars. Look at all those tabs. This was just so cozy and cute, and I loved it. We have Emily Wilde. She's a professor. She goes to this town to study their fae. She's kind of like secludes herself. She doesn't really like people. And then we have Bumblebee, who comes in, and he decides that he wants to help her with all of this. And so we kind of see a connection form between them, and they are discovering what's going on with the fae and what's happening with this village and the fae in the village. It was just really cool. I really liked it. The fairies aspect was amazing, and the magic, the whole fantasy aspect was so cool. Just a really cozy, fun fantasy, and I can't wait to read the next one. I need to go get it, but highly recommend based on those tabs. It was just so fun, and I love this book so much. The next book I have is Such Sharp Teeth. I'm not going to talk too much about this one because I don't want to spoil anything, but it definitely was fun to listen to. I listened to the audiobook. Let me just check here. I gave it 4.75 stars just because it was lacking more of that horror aspect that I was waiting for, but it was really cool. Our main character is kind of like finding herself, and just kind of like, it's kind of empowering towards the main character towards women overall and showing that women can be strong, and it was just good. Definitely has like those horror aspects, but they're not as much as I thought they would be, which is why I took off 0.25 stars. But I really enjoyed it. It was a quick listen and highly recommend. I can't wait to read more by this author because I've heard great things about her. The next book I read was The Art Thief. I gave this, 4.5 stars. Highly, highly recommend this nonfiction. It read more like a fiction with the way that the story was told. It read less like nonfiction. It was so interesting. Like, I can't believe that that was somebody's life, that somebody did all of that, that stole that much work, was that good of a thief. It was just really fun. Highly recommend this one. I liked the narrator of the audiobook. I listened to it through Libby. I really liked it. Highly recommend it. The next book I read was Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey. I ended up reading the arc for this. I gave it 3.75 stars. It has the trope of them being step siblings, and it just kind of threw me off a little bit. So yeah, but I overall liked it. Like, the romance was cute. It was very lusty right from the beginning though, so that kind of threw me off as well. And I feel like it could have been cut a little bit shorter than it was. But overall, I did enjoy it. 3.75 stars to 4 stars. I couldn't really decide between the two. So on Fable, it says 3.75. On Goodreads, it says 4 because I couldn't decide. But definitely recommend if you like Tessa Bailey's writing. The next book I read was Off Track. I gave it 4 stars. This was an F1 romance. I also got an arc of this book from NetGalley and definitely really enjoyed it. The romance was really cute. I kind of took a star off just because it dragged for me a little bit, but highly recommend it still. I really enjoyed it, and I've never read an F1 romance before, and it made me want to read more because it was really interesting hearing like about that world, and I didn't really know too much about it before reading this, so it was really cool, and I recommend it definitely. The author is really cool. I believe there's a second book that came out like in the series, so I definitely have to pick that up and try it. The next book I read was The Sanatorium, and I gave this 4.75 stars. I really liked it. It was a they're snowed in with the killer, and all of these people are starting to die and they don't know who's doing it. And even when they're like locking themselves and secluding themselves, people are still dying. So it was crazy, and the way people are dying is insane. Like, the little clues that are left after they're dead, so crazy. And the killer you will not expect at all. Like, I did not see the twist coming at all, which is why I gave it 4.75 stars. I did not see that twist coming at all. Loved it. Highly recommend this if you're looking for a really good thriller that takes place in the winter. And yeah. The final book I read in January was Assistant to the Villain, and I gave this 5 stars. I love this, and I cannot wait to read the next one. And I believe a new one came out as well. I don't know how many books are in this series, but I know Apprentice to the Villain is the next one, and I cannot wait to pick it up. Basically, we have Evie. She lost a job and she's unemployed. She's looking for employment. Her father's very sick. She has a little sister, and her mother went missing. You find out more about that. It's crazy. And yeah, so this book was insane. In the prologue, she runs into the villain. He offers her a job and she becomes his assistant. So, it's very, very fun, very cute. There's some parts where there's high stakes, and it's just really good. I love the characters in this. I love all the characters. I ended up falling in love with them and their relationships, and just like the found family aspect of this. It's so good, and this was a great way to wrap up January. So that is all the books that I read in December and January. Definitely don't take my word for everything. Obviously, I'm gonna have different opinions than everybody else, but these were just all of my opinions on the books, all of my ratings on the books, and how I felt about them. So December was a great way to end off the year with all those books, and January was a great way to start 2025. I read some amazing reads, and yeah, I've been on a audiobook grind. Obviously, I've been listening to a lot of audiobooks because I've been doing a lot of driving. So yeah, it's just been great reads in January, and I can't wait to see what February has in store for me. I'm already halfway through February, so I know the books that I've read, but I can't wait to share them with you guys. So that is all I have for today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.